Hello, I'm here with Bill Rudnick with DLA Piper. I appreciate your meeting with me this morning.
Glad to do it.
Great. So I just wanted to ask you some questions specifically directed around business development. But before I get into that, I wanted you to describe just a little bit about your legal background, sort of leading up to your current role in the firm.
I've been practicing law for about 25 years. I started with a law firm which was then called Rudnick & Wolf. In 1999, that firm merged with Piper & Marbury, which was a mid-Atlantic firm, to create Piper Rudnick. We did a series of transactions after that merger, which culminated in 2005 with a three-way merger among DLA, Gray Carey, and Piper Rudnick. And the result of that merger is the firm that is today known as DLA Piper. And we continued to grow the firm, continued to do some mergers and acquisitions after the 2005 deal, and have at this point created the largest law firm in the world. And along the way have served in a series of other leadership roles, both formal and ad hoc. I was a member of the firm's executive committee and policy committee. I have been very active in our pro bono program, and I've been very much involved in several of our mergers, most especially the what we refer to as the initial merger, the merger with Piper & Marbury.
Okay, terrific. And do me a favor and just take a few minutes and compare the legal industry today versus, say, 10 years ago. How have you seen things changed?
The change that you see in the legal community today is a change that has actually been occurring for a long period of time. There are forces outside the law that have changed the environment in which law firms practice. Globalization, increased regulation, the increased cost of legal fees, especially litigation, the loss of value of the incumbent. What I mean by that is there are historical relationships that have existed between clients and firms, and as those clients have evolved over years, as those clients have merged, as those clients' senior personnel have come and gone, the historic relationships between those clients and their law firms have become weaker. And there has been a greater emphasis on the business of law as opposed to just the practice of law.
Right. So let me ask you this on a more personal level. I mean, was there a defining moment for you specifically where you realized you could make it rain, or where you had a situation where you saw the road ahead?
There are kind of bookends for me. When I first started practicing, I was able to generate some business pretty early on. And that was fun and exciting, and I was really glad to do that. And I just kind of continued along doing that on a low-level basis. I had a couple big successes that I built a practice around. And then in 2008, when the world crashed and a lot of my practice crashed with it, I had to take a very fresh, hard look to figure out how I was going to rebuild my practice. And what I realized was that for a number of years I had effectively been coasting with a network that wasn't growing. And I needed to figure out how to expand that network, and have been doing that since '09. And that has been, I think, the key to the success that I've seen since then.
Okay. And when you talk about expanding a network, was there something specific that you were looking to accomplish in that expansion as far as, was it development of strategic partnerships? Was it trying to leverage existing relationships and clients to meet people they knew? What were some of the things that you were doing at that time to grow, to build it out?
Well, first of all, from a process perspective, I took a very experimental approach. And what I mean by that is, I tried a lot of the things that you talk about.
Okay.
I reached out to people who I knew. I reached out to people who I didn't know. I reached out to people who I kind of knew and thought that I would like to get to know better. I thought about and executed on what practices might be relevant in the future to put myself in the firm in the path of those sorts of opportunities. At the same time, I paid pretty close attention to what was working and what wasn't working.
Okay.
But I also was very patient because it takes a long time to develop relationships. But the one thing that I went in with in every single one of those steps was a guiding concept. And that guiding concept was, I'm not looking for business. I'm looking to help other people.
When you think about the challenges that attorneys are facing, really focused around business development, what do you think are some of the greatest challenges that they're currently facing out there in the marketplace?
Fear of failing, fear of investing and not getting anything in return for it, fear of embarrassing themselves in a social context.
Okay.
The fear of failure is it can be debilitating.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. It's there's a lot of frustration out there, and I think what I have seen is that it's a lot of the unknown and the newness of it, and the idea that if like you said, if you put yourself out there and you fail, then that's uncomfortable for everybody. But it's something that if you can get past maybe the first or second stage of it, you realize, what was I so scared of? It's like, if you're looking down a mountain, you got skis on. Yeah, it's scary, but then once you get down, you go, oh, this is actually pretty nice. It's a nice run, right? Is there a mistake that you see happening with attorneys that are trying to develop a book, and you say, oh, if they just did this differently, it would make all the difference in the world?
Yes, I do. It is getting beyond the linear path mindset.
Okay.
It's getting comfortable with ambiguity. It's getting comfortable with putting themselves out there.
Yeah. I think what we're seeing is that people are starting to put themselves into silos. There's the go-getting rainmakers that are making it all happen, and then there's the worker bees that just don't want anything to do with it. And then there's the middle ground. And the middle ground, the middle group, I should say, is really expanding. And that's, part of what I think I'm spending a lot of my time doing is working with that middle group. But I think part of it is putting themselves out there. And then the other part of it is, I think it's still the perception. It's just they don't want to be perceived as a pushy salesman. And how do I get out there and do it without being that person? So have you seen that struggle with either yourself or with others?
I have. I think at this point, here's the transition that I see. By the time somebody becomes a partner, they have had some success in generating business. It may be they've been able to generate incremental business from an existing client, but they have had some success in selling legal services. The place where I see, before I get that, and the people who are not comfortable with that, they opt out before they become partners, or they don't become partners. one of our decision rules, one of our criteria when we think about making somebody a partner is, do we see this as a person who can build a partner practice, who we think reasonably 5 years from now, 10 years from now, will have a $3 to $5 million book of business. And if the answer is no, they may be a terrific lawyer, but there has to be a really compelling other reason for that person to become a partner. And we don't expect them to have that sort of business day one, but we have to think that they can become an entrepreneurial owner of the business. The place where I see the missed opportunity and the place where I focus my efforts is on associates who have all sorts of reasons why they can't generate business. And I find the same three categories that you described for the lawyer population. Generally, you have people who have some spark, who have some skill at it. You find people who are scared to death of it, and then you have a lot of people in the middle who want to figure it out or know they need to figure it out and are sort of maybe kind of open to figuring it out. But those people have talked themselves into all of the barriers that they face in developing a practice and running a business.
So the missed opportunity then is to maybe work, get to the associates early enough, get their mindset on business development. And again, I think associates, a lot of people would say and have said, they need to learn the law first, which I think we would all agree to. However, then there's the second part, which is developing a network and starting to get comfortable with talking about what you do as in a party or doing something, just stepping out of the comfort zone a little bit. And I think then by the time they get to a senior associate, they, at that point, they should be in a position to start really learning the higher, more advanced levels of sales versus, just networking or just trying to make connections.
I sort of agree with that.
Okay. Well, this is my interview with you, so you tell me what your thoughts are about where's the missed opportunity with associates. Where
So the missed opportunity with associates is purely time.
Okay.
If I heard a statistic many years ago that the average length between when a lawyer first meets someone and the lawyer is hired by that person is 7 years. I don't know whether that's true. It seems a little long. And it may be that time frame has shrunk since 20 or 25 years ago. But the truism is still there. There is a lag time between the time that you meet somebody and the time that they hire you. So the lesson that some people took from that was, this is a long game and I don't know where I'm going to be and I'm not going to invest now because I don't know when and whether it will come up.
Right.
When and whether the flowers will bloom. My view on that was, well, hell, I better get started.
Right.
Because I want that 7-year period to start running today so that 5 to 10 years from now, it will have run.
Yeah. Part of the philosophy that I have about sales, and I think the reason that I work with attorneys so well is because I'm really not teaching them sales. I'm teaching them a lot of the soft skills, and it revolves around doing a lot of questioning. And I think you'll agree that when you ask good questions and you look to open up somebody to talk to you and just share with you as a counselor or for whatever their needs might be. It might be they need business, or they need your help with a legal matter, or maybe it's that they need to hire somebody and you may have a contact. Whatever it is, you ask questions to open up opportunities. And I think that attorneys may not, even though they're typically good at asking questions in a courtroom or in other capacities, they're not comfortable or used to asking questions in an environment like a party or when they sit down to network with somebody. And I think that's something that we try to explore quite a bit with the attorneys I work with.
I think that's excellent advice.
When you think about the things that you recommend to attorneys at your firm about business development, and we've covered some ground already with that, which I'm excited about sharing with everybody. Is there one or two specific things that are sort of like your kind of one-lines, or the things that you say, look, you have to do this if you're going to build a book and be successful? Where do you go? Where do you come from on that end?
Give, and give, and don't expect anything particular in return.
Okay, so back to the go-giver, just being a giver, selfless in how you handle things, and good thing, the karma will come back. People that have a hard time swallowing that pill, is there a balance somewhere where they can be a giver but also do it with a certain level of expectation that they're going in the right direction?
I think that there are two things to keep in mind. I have a very good friend who's a banker and who is terrific at developing customers and clients for the bank. And he uses a term to describe some people. That term is takers.
Okay.
And when you're dealing with a taker, you can eventually tell, and you should stop dealing with that person. When you help people out, they're appreciative. When you help people out, they will reciprocate. If they aren't appreciative and they don't reciprocate, move on.
Okay. Very interesting. Well, listen, I appreciate your time and willingness to share some great ideas, and we'll continue to hear good things from you in the future, I'm sure.
My pleasure. This was fun. Let me throw out one last piece of advice.
Oh, please. I'd love that.
Just keep trying. Don't give up. Just learn. Part of the challenge is that the learning can come slowly because the cycle is so long. But you can tell if you're connecting with somebody. You can tell if they're giving something back. You can tell if they're trying. And you can tell if it's not working.
Yeah. You have to have, like you said, you're very process-oriented. To have a process where you can evaluate whether it's people, whether it's the questions you're asking, whether it's how you're coming across. If you can evaluate, learn, is an ongoing effort. I think when you look at athletes, or you look at a cook or a chef, or you look at a musician, if they're just continuing to make the same mistakes over and over again and not learning anything, well, they're not going to be a very good athlete or chef or whatever. So I think it applies here as well as anything.
It does apply here as well as anything. The difference is that for lawyers, they've been taught that learning is linear. That if I make a mistake, the mistake is pointed out to me and I correct it. And there's a whole lot more ambiguity here.
Right, yeah.
You may not know for years what is working and what isn't working.
Right.
But you certainly have hints along the way. And it's one of the reasons that starting your network early is so helpful, because you will see over time what is working, where the relationships are valuable, whether or not there's business coming out of it. Who are they introducing you to? How valuable are those introductions, as opposed to, are they simply referring you to their insurance agent, which is not about, in the end, that much about helping you. Right.
That's helping out someone else typically.
Right.
Well, listen, I really want to thank you for your time, and I'm excited about sharing this information with everyone, and we'll, again, hope to hear good things in the future.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.